Okay, hello. It is Joanna Co. Welcome back to my channel. It is Friday, you guys. Fridays, I have said that I'm going to be going live 11 a.m. to like 11:30, 12. You might got me for about 30, 45 minutes. We're talking goal setting and inner work. Come on in. Let me change some settings. If you're watching this on a playback, I appreciate you. Do not forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you are not already subscribed. This is going to be a faceless live so I can try to stay focused. Okay, come on in. I hope everybody is having a great day. I hope everybody is having a great day. I'm trying to figure out something really quick, so bear with me. I want to put a question on the screen. I forget how to do it sometimes. Oh, here it is. Come on in. Let me know if you can see the question on the screen. Let me know. Do me a huge favor, whoever is watching, to let me know if you can see the question on the screen. And then I can tell you what the question on the screen means, okay? Come on in. I hope everybody is having a great day. We are going to do about 30, 45 minutes of goal setting and inner work talk. I will be reading from my book. Well, this isn't even my book. It's Michael Hyatt's book called Your Best Year Ever. And come on in. Talk to me. I'm still trying to figure out how to work this live because I know it's a way. Okay, I might have just figured it out. Give me a second. I might have just figured it out. By Michael, how do you spell his name? Michaelhyatt. Okay. Figured it out, you guys. Yay. Your Best Year Ever by Michael Hyatt is the book. Just pinned it at the bottom. Let me know if y'all can see that question. How big is your frying pan? And then I'm going to let you guys know why. I wonder on the playback if you guys can see the question. But I don't know. We'll see. We will see. Hello. So I was on the internet. And it was this guy who was telling this story, right? And the story went something like, there's two guys who are fishing together. And one guy, he's not catching any fish. And he's just there. And he's like getting frustrated. He's like, why am I not catching any fish? And then the other guy who's fishing, he's like catching all the fishes, right? He's like catching big fishes, small fishes, medium fishes. He's just getting, every time he throw his hook out, he caught a fish. And the guy who was not catching any fish, he noticed that every time the guy who was catching all the fish caught a really, really big fish, he would throw it back into the water. But every time he caught like a medium-sized fish or a small fish, he would keep it. So now the guy who's not catching any fish is getting really pissed off because he's like, this guy is catching all the fishes and he's stupid because every time he gets a big fish, he throws it back in. But then when he gets a small fish, he want to keep it. So the guy who's not catching any fish, he finally gets so frustrated that he goes to the guy and he says, why do you keep throwing the big fish back into the damn water? And why are you only keeping the small fishes? And the guy tells him, oh, that's because I only have a 9-inch frying pan at home. And the big fishes will not fit into the damn frying pan. And I'm like, oh shit, I'm getting messages, so I'm getting distracted. So I'm like, the whole moral of the story is he knew his capacity. That the frying pan was his mental capacity of how much he could handle. And he knew, hey, I got a 9-inch frying pan at home. So I need to get a fish that's either big enough to fit in the pan or a little bit smaller. Last week when I went live, we talked about overcoming limiting beliefs. And the guy who's catching all these fishes, his limiting belief was the size of his frying pan. Because he couldn't see past that 9-inch frying pan. He couldn't see any bigger fish. He couldn't even fathom taking home a bigger fish because he knew that he had a 9-inch frying pan. The guy who wasn't catching any fishes, he had a limited belief because he couldn't even visualize a frying pan at home so that he knew what to reel in. So now he's not even catching anything. But hold on, give me a second. But that was last week. And I just want for everyone to think about what limiting beliefs that they are crushing and that they are overcoming. And ask yourself, how big is your frying pan? Do you need a bigger frying pan for your goals? And if you do, then that means you need to get rid of those limiting beliefs, turn them into, I forget what he said before. I always forget. Turn them into the liberating truths and then implement the new strategy. How big is your frying pan? But that's not what we're going over today. That was last week. I just love that. Hey, Shatika. Yes, glory be to God. Amen. I hope that you are having a great day, Shatika. Thank you for catching this live. I appreciate you. And don't forget to double tap the screen and like the live because that helps me out so much. But yeah, you don't have to comment how big your frying pan is because that's just like a question that you need to think about. But once you realize that your dreams may be bigger than your pan, maybe you need to start getting a new mindset and a bigger pan. What I'm going to talk about now is what's on the screen where it says thinking backwards is a must. Backward, learning, awareness, and analysis. And then the forward is action, possibility, and progress. Because now that we know the limiting beliefs and we can eliminate those limiting beliefs, we can focus on going forward by rewriting our past or letting go of the past and doing what we need to do. So, completing the past is step 2. Step number 2. I'll leave that question up there because um, whoever's watching on the playback, y'all already know what's going on. But as more people come in, I'll probably tell that story again, or not. We'll see. We'll just play it by ear. So, step number 2, he says, is complete the past. Remember Uncle Rico from the movie Napoleon Dynamite. In his middle age, he's got nothing to show for his life. But when he hears about Napoleon's mail order time machine, he gets wistful. Oh man, I wish I could go back in time. I'd take state, he says. His whole life is framed by the disappointment of not getting his chance to win in high school football. Coach would have put me in fourth quarter. We would have been state champions, he says, no doubt in my mind. We all know people stuck in the same kind of rut, don't we? That probably includes us to some degree. If we're honest, after limiting beliefs, the next most common barrier we encounter is the past. We tow it around like a trailer full of broken furniture. We can't fully consider the future because we're too tied up in what's already happened. The reason we're reenacting to our personal histories instead of getting the closure we need to move forward. What I call completing the past. It's possible to do. We've all gone through experiences, good and bad, but as psychologist Benjamin Hardy says, your past is a story. How you frame that story will largely impact your future self. If we can look at the past with an abundance mindset instead of one fueled by scarcity, we can frame the events of the past as working, at least on average, to our advantage, not completely to our detriment. When we do that, we can move more hopefully and expectantly into the future. If, on the other hand, we emphasize being wronged, missing out, or suffering one setback after another, we'll stitch together a narrative that tends to confirm our inability to succeed. Not very empowering. Getting stuck in the past will limit your outcome of the future. I don't want that to happen to you. If it does, it'll prevent you from experiencing your best year ever. So step number 2 explains how to get the resolution you need and complete the past. Y'all don't even understand. So I hate when people are constantly talking about their high school lives and their high school weight and things that they used to do in high school. That is one of my biggest pet peeves because I'm like, yo, you holding on to that. Oh my God. Like, let it go. You're 55 years old. Whoop-de-doo. When you were in high school, you were a football player and could have made it pro. You were a basketball player and could have went pro. Whoop-de-doo. I met this guy one time at a bar. I was doing karaoke at a bar. And so he walks up to me and he's like, can I buy you a drink? But I'm getting off hand, but I'm going to double back in a minute. What made me mad was he already watched me purchase my drink. So he came over to the bar. I'm talking to the bartender. I'm ordering my drink. He watches me pay for the drink. Right after I pay for the drink and start drinking it, he says, can I buy you a drink? I'm like, no, I just got a drink. I don't need another drink. So then he's like, well, I would like to get to know you. You're very, beautiful and attractive. I would like to get to know you. And I was like, okay, that's perfectly fine. I'm here to play karaoke. I'm going to be here for a while. So let's talk. This guy gets to talking about himself and how in high school he was about to play pro basketball. Then he got really sick and the doctors told him that he couldn't play basketball because if he was to play basketball, he might die. And they got to talking about how Well, he told me how his mom was about to sign a $3 million contract for him to go play professional basketball. And she went to him and was like, hey, I know that you're very sick and the doctors are saying that, you shouldn't play basketball, but I want you to know you have a $3 million offer to play basketball. Would you like to do it? He's like, nope, I turned it down because I didn't want to die and I didn't want to risk getting paralyzed, and my health was a factor and I didn't want to risk it. And this whole time in the back of my mind, I'm like, bro, you're in your 50s. You're about to be 50 years old. And you're telling me a story about when you were in high school and turned down a $3 million contract to play professional basketball. Let it go. Let it go. Please. Not only did I not care and not want to hear it, but what are you doing now? What are you accomplishing right now? What is your goals and what is your aspirations and purpose today? Not in the past. Let it go. But anyways, I'm going to keep reading. Thinking backwards is a must. We drive into the future using only our rearview mirror. You should always take the best from the past and leave the worst back there and go forward into the future. I spent most of my professional life in publishing. I've worked pretty much every job in the business: marketing, editorial, management, and more. I even spent some time in literary representation and artist management. One of my clients had a number of very successful projects under his belt, and I was setting him up for what a business partner and I hoped would be a major new deal. I worked my tail off for about a year, focusing exclusively on this one client. Before taking his new book to publishers, my business partner and I conducted a 90-day, 30-city tour with our client. Turnout was fantastic. We ran between 1,500 and 2,000 people a night. When it was all done, my team and I were exhausted, but it was worth it. Our client's existing publisher took notice and offered a primitive 2-book deal for $1 million a book. Wow, my partner and I were over the moon excited. We'd invested a lot in this deal and it was about to pay off in a big way. We told our clients and expected I can't even read. We told our clients and expected an enthusiastic response. But then we couldn't get our calls returned. It was stone cold silence. Something was up. After trying for a few weeks, I finally got a response. It was written in I don't know what that says, legalese, but the message was clear. On the verge of my biggest deal to date, I got fired. The deal I had lined up for my client was huge, but it made him think he could land an even bigger fish. He signed with an agency that promised they could do better. Meanwhile, I was left high and dry with nothing to show for my year-long investment. It sent me into a tailspin. I was an emotional wreck. I felt like my career was over. Backward thinking. Completing the past is an essential part of designing a better future. Reasoning flows not only forward, as psychologist Daniel Kahneman and Dale Miller says, but also backward from the experience to what it reminds us of or makes us think about. They call this the power of backward thinking. If you're going to experience your best year ever, we need to harness the power of backward thinking for ourselves. And here's why. We can't complete the past until we acknowledge what we've already experienced. As a friend once told me, an experience is not complete until it is remembered. We can't just ignore it or wish it away. Whatever we have experienced over the last 12 months or even further back must be addressed. If we try to ignore it, it's just going to come back to bite us. And how? Backward and forward. We can reason forward and back. Backward thinking allows us to learn and grow, which facilitates greater progress in the future. Sometimes we live inside unhelpful stories we tell ourselves. Other times we nurse grievances to justify our current actions or feel unvalued because we were slighted or disregarded in some way. If we don't get resolution, we'll drag all our unfinished business into the future, and it will sabotage everything we're trying to build going forward. Now, before going any further, I want to stress something. The process I outline next is designed to help you deal with setbacks and frustrations. It's not designed to help you deal with serious trauma. Many of us have endured some real shocks and even catastrophes. Maybe you lost a marriage, maybe you lost a loved one, maybe you experienced an accident, an illness, a violent attack, or the total loss of your business. Unless and until you deal with traumatic events, they can influence and even define your future in deeply unhealthy ways. What I detail below can only get you so far. If you need to bring in outside resources, such as a therapist, I recommend you do. As Brene Brown says, that's pure courage. For the rest of us, listing our disappointments and processing them can suffice. Along with that, let me hasten to add that we must also process our successes and achievements. It's essential to note when things go well. Like Bob Dylan said, we take the best from the past with us into the future. I need to go grab me some water because this is a lot of reading. But I will say this. Last year, when he says think about last year I went through a divorce. Last year, I lost my marriage. Last year, I had a surgery that was like crazy physically and mentally. Is that everything he named? Well, I didn't have no serious illness because the surgery was elective. But I went through all of those things in literally 1 year. And it has taught me so much. It was so many times where I'm like, yo, I just need to give up. Like, am I still going through shit? Oh, damn, I'm still going through shit and more shit and more shit. At one point, I had 2 therapists and 2 life coaches. Mentors, life coaches, whatever you want to call them. 2 of them. And 2 therapists. So I was seeing 4 people at one time last year because I was just going so crazy. I'm like, this is a lot. Now, today, I'm like, girl, look at all you've learned from what you've been through. And you still kicking ass. Still showing up for yourself and so much better. It's like I know how big my frying pan is now. If you just joining, I told the story about 2 fishermen who were fishing. And one fisherman was catching no fish at all. And the other fisherman was catching every single fish. But he would only keep the small fishes. And he would throw back into the water the big fishes. So the guy who was not catching any fishes, he asked the man, he's like, why are you only keeping the smaller fishes? And the guy's like, hey, I only got a 9-inch frying pan at home. I can't keep the big fishes because I can't cook them. And now that I'm thinking about everything I've been through last year, the divorce, the losing my business, going through surgery, still taking care of the kids, taking care of the household, failure after failure, success after success, defeat, overcoming, and all of those things. Today, I could take all of that I went through in my past and make my future better because the experience has taught me so much more. And I'm not moving on from failure. I'm moving on from experience. Let me grab some water. And coffee. Okay, I got my coffee, I got my water, and I need to drink some before I keep reading. And y'all probably got me for another 15, 20 minutes. Ooh, that water is good. But that all comes from knowing the first step. First step is available on my channel. Last week's goal setting and inner work, we talked about overcoming limiting beliefs. So all the things that I went through last year could have became limiting beliefs. I could have sat there and been like, hey, I'm going through a divorce. I am losing my business. I am recovering from surgery. I can't do X, Y, and Z. All of those things could have been limiting beliefs, but no. I turned them into the liberating truth, and I made a plan to go forward. Okay, let me see. I done set this book down. Okay, boom. So the after action review. I'm reading from the book titled Your Best Year Ever by Michael Hyatt. I pinned it in the comments, so if you guys want to find this book and read it at home, it is Your Best Year Ever by Michael Hyatt. And he says the after action review. The U.S. Army has a helpful backward thinking method. It's called the after action review. First developed in 1981, it has been used ever since by America's armed forces to improve performance and get better at what they do. After an event, the goal is to understand what happened, why it happened, and how they can improve. Lots of businesses use this process, and we can use it too. This kind of backward thinking will put you in an excellent frame of mind as you get ready to design your future and experience your best year ever. Marilyn Darling, Charles Perry, and Joseph Moore studied the after action review process for Harvard Business Review. They give the example of a training battle in the California desert. I'll call the two sides Team 1 and Team 2. So Team 1 was top-notch and rarely defeated. Their job was to help train Team 2 by running them through a near-life scenario. But in this case, Team 2 managed to surprise the trainers with an unforeseen attack plan. Whoops! Team 2 broke Team 1's defense and left them outgunned and outmaneuvered. Did the trainers hang their heads in shame and defeat? No. Instead, they conducted an after-action review. They studied what went wrong, what went right, and how to adjust their approach in the future. In fact, Team 1 commander called it a good rehearsal for upcoming engagements. Why is this important? Because completing the task is all about moving into the future. As the authors of the HBR study says, an after-action review is a living, persuasive process that explicitly connects past experience with future action. I'll break down this review process into 4 key stages. We'll move through each stage with several questions, and I encourage you to use a journal or notebook to jot down your answers. Writing is a powerful tool for leverage the benefits of backward thinking. According to the study at the University of California, researchers Sonia, Lori, Renee, participants who processed a negative experience through writing or talking reported improved life satisfaction and enhanced mental and physical health relative to those who thought about it. Write it down. I got so many journals in front of me. I got 1, 2, 3, 4 journals in front of me. If you're not writing your thoughts down, journaling every single day, at least every week, every month, just write some things down, people. Stop always just thinking about things. So stage 1, state what happened. State what you wanted to happen. That's what he says. For the military, this is pretty straightforward. So we're talking about the Team 1, Team 2 scenario. For the For the military, this is pretty straightforward. Think of it as the battle plan or the object of the mission. For you, this could be your list of goals for the prior year. It could also be something less definite. Maybe it's a hope, maybe it's a dream or unstated expectation. Start by asking yourself, how did I see the year going? And what were my plans? What were my dreams? What were my concrete goals, if you even had any? Don't focus on just one or two areas. Remember, our lives consist of 9 interrelated domains, which is the body, the mind, the spirit, love, family, community, money, work, and hobbies. It's important to get clear on what you want to happen across all of these domains. In the case of a personal example at the beginning of this chapter, I wanted to raise my client's visibility, enhance his desirability to publishers, and land the biggest deal of my career to that point. Blake, one of my Your Best Year Ever alumni, planned to move to New York, find a new job, and invest in a long-term relationship. But right before he took the leap, life took a turn. His girlfriend broke off their relationship while he was visiting New York. It was a Monday. On Wednesday, his neighbor back home called to say a tree had fallen on his house. Unfortunately, nobody got hurt. Fortunately. Fortunately, nobody got hurt, Blake said, but they did condemn the building. If that weren't enough, his mom called that same week and said she was selling her house, which was an emotional blow because he grew up there and had a lot of attachment to the place. So I went from going to pursue this girl and do this new career to no relationship, homeless, no childhood home either. If his year had been a movie, Blake said it should have been titled, I Didn't Expect It to Go That Way. Maybe you can relate as you think through each life domain. Are not saying if you can hear me. Are not saying if you can hear me. Shut the front door. It's frustrating. It's frustrating.